One of the most interesting characters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the antagonist of GX Season 3, Yubel. They are a dual monster spirit with ties to Judai, or Jaden in the English dub. However, they are two different beings in the 4Kids dub and the Japanese sub. No, it's not because of the sports bra or goth swimsuit. It's because Yubel's motivations for both versions of GX are different. The tone is already set by how Yubel is introduced in episode 106.
Judai, どこにいるんだ, Judai.
Jaden, why won't you play with me?
The two sentences allude to the same thing, a connection with Judai. The animation is the same. The English dub has a shorter scene compared to the Japanese, but the key difference isn't the length. It's the use of music. Whereas the English dub uses a classic children's toy piano horror trope to evoke uneasiness, the Japanese dub elects to not use music at all. The following scene continues the trend as the supporting cast of Season 3 are introduced.
Jump overboard. They call this a cruise?
無事に終了しそうだ。この後悔のために
The next time Yubel speaks, it's to Judai with a playful phrase like,
Tag, you're it!
The Japanese sub chooses to refer to Judai as beloved, and Yubel is glad to see that he's okay. The difference again is the use of music. 4Kids attempts to use music to help feel TV-friendly horror. The issue is, Yubel is not meant to be scary. At least not in the typical sense. The lack of music allows the audience to immerse itself and listen to what Yubel is saying. She is speaking with a sense of bond, in a loving way. When Yubel speaks to Amon in the 4Kids dub, Yubel has a little girl's voice asking to play with him. She dresses Amon down by confirming that he is looking for his parents' love and proving his worth. They use this as the motivating factor for Amon to side with her. The censorship of this conversation between Amon and Yubel is changed to love for family and being abandoned, instead of meeting expectations and becoming worthy to the Garums after being rescued from certain death. She asks Amon if he is truly worthy. The scene is changed drastically though. Uncensored, Echo's presence stops Amon from attempting to. Echo tells Amon he is not that kind of person. Yubel plans to exploit Amon's inner darkness, so this minor change to dialogue and massive change to the flashback scene changes how a viewer sees Yubel. To further compound this, Cobra's backstory is also neutered down to help his sick son. Uncensored, we learn that Riku was killed in a car accident. Cobra still dedicated his life to protecting his adopted son in both versions, but the will to do anything it takes to bring him back from the dead is a vast departure from his son implied to have died, rather than have Cobra watch him die. We feel what Cobra feels. If a life is taken away too soon, what would you do to bring it back, and who would you follow to make it happen? Yubel offers themselves as help. She begs Cobra for his help, and in exchange, she promises his son. Yubel uses the darkness in Cobra's heart to get him to believe he will get his baby boy back. Yubel uses Cobra and attempts to use Amon by leveraging the darkness. It ranges from selfish desires, trauma, and painful memories, things that Yubel themselves feel. Removing these scenes from the English dub does not provide the sympathy for the devil moments. It robs the audience of critically thinking about the villain's intentions and if they are truly evil. Two other forces that can be interpreted as villains are exploited, so how bad is the one orchestrating it when it's for love? Manipulation and power were both present, but the impact is lessened when you treat the audience with kid gloves. Both versions of the series are aimed at preteens, but only one of those believes that the audience is not ready to dive into adult themes. As the duel between Judai and Cobra enters the final stage, the two versions of Season 3 show the different directions that it will eventually take.
Judai. さあ、共に行こう。新しい世界に。But Viper lost and failed in making Jaden pay. But I'll still use this crude vessel to do to Jaden what Viper could not.
When Duel Academy is sent to a different dimension, isolating Judai is the main goal. The motivation continues towards the first duel between Judai and Yubel. The biggest difference?
どんなに時が流れようと、君は永遠に僕のものだ。君だけはここから返すわけにはいかない。僕の元に来るんだ、10代。宿じゃなる日のもの。
You decided to alienate me, but now we're face to face again. And you and I, we have some catching up to do. Now prepare to feel my wrath.
This right here. This is the defining moment of Yubel's character. Yubel exploited one person after another and plans to use more if necessary to move towards her actual target. She used and will use the darkness in anyone's heart for one reason: the dominating theme that pushes Yubel forward as the antagonist of Season 3. Love. Towards the end of the first half of Season 3, Yubel reveals her true form to Judai. Her presence causes him to remember his past. And yet, 4Kids will not let the scene breathe for 1 second. The Japanese sub trusts that we, the audience, will understand the flashback as it uses a somber soundtrack with minimal to no voice acting.
The Guardian.
4Kids believes that we need to have the scene spelled out entirely by a narrating Yubel and music as loud as the voiceover. Imagine you were trying to listen to a YouTube video essay, but you are too distracted from listening to some music where you can just barely hear what's being said. It's not just too stimulating, it's too distracting. There is no sympathy to be felt. You are not given the opportunity to see why Yubel feels so attached to Judai. You have your hand held through the experience. This continues with the entire flashback of Judai's duel from the past. Aggressive music cues are played, Judai's reference to bonds with his cards are instead made to be Judai just talking crazy, and Yubel's motive for hurting the opposing duelist is changed to anger instead of love. The complexity of the relationship between Judai and Yubel is watered down to a common dynamic in shonen anime or Saturday morning cartoons. She feels irate that another person captures the attention of her beloved. Johan is the most important person in Judai's life at that point, despite only spending a short amount of time with him. Watching the censored version, you're told they're buds in other mid-2000s lingo. Watching the Japanese sub alludes to a deeper relationship. Yubel cannot see Judai feel love for anyone else and wants to eradicate it. Despite their best attempt, Johan sacrifices himself to send Judai and the rest of Duel Academy back to their own dimension. Judai has a strong desire to save Johan in return, and it leads him back to Yubel. However, Yubel was changed in the dub to a villain looking to take over dimensions under the evil eye to save all spirits to avoid feeling the same pain she felt from Judai, which is sending everyone to the stars, the series version of the Shadow Realm. With the repetition of love, we understand what Yubel wants. She wants Judai to feel love the only way she learned. They want Judai to feel pain. Pain in this case is Yubel's love language because she didn't feel anything else over the span of a decade. Yubel dedicates the duel with Ryo to show the same type of affection that she interpreted from Judai. The theme of love, pain, and sacrifice is present through Yubel's remaining duels in Season 3. Against Amon, Yubel is impressed with him obtaining the power of Exodia by sacrificing Echo. They push Amon further by taunting him with Echo's death and if it was worth it when he had the power to compete against Yubel already. Yubel keeps going in on Amon by saying it was one-sided love, where Echo endured all the pain, whereas they felt the pain from Judai, and they are willing to give him the same. Yubel marks the difference in love between the two pairs by what all four are willing to endure. To the English dub's credit, it takes a similar route, though it does omit the darker aspects of Amon's background. Unfortunately, they avoided the motif of the season. Love. Yubel reasons that you cannot have a world without sharing it with the one you love most. She embraces having a world with Judai. 4Kids ask that Echo embrace the hate. Amon's final words are,
So sorry!
Echo.
4Kids denied the moment of proving Yubel right to Amon. Echo attacks out of love for Amon. Amon's final moments are thinking of the love he was given, but one that he never returned. Amon dies feeling the weight of his actions and not accomplishing the one thing that he promised to do. Become the king Echo always saw him as. The tragedy of Amon by the hands of Yubel does not hit the same due to this key change in the duel. Judai charges in to take Johan back, but Yubel is ready to hurt and be hurt. Judai duels out of love for Johan, or at least that's how Yubel interprets it, as Judai actively hurts Johan's body to reach out to his consciousness. Judai accepts the pain, sorrow, and anger his friends felt due to his and Yubel's actions. The nuances of the penultimate duel are lost when the English dub focuses on Yubel's simplified desire of inflicting pain. The things that make Yubel an interesting character are stripped away, depriving younger audiences or even audiences that have only ever seen GX dubbed from a mature story and an overarching theme throughout the series. We'll explore the second half of that sentence in Judai's video. I know I'm a year overdue for that essay, please bear with me. When comparing the final duel of the season, there are still snide remarks, cheeky comments, and overbearing music that doesn't stop for a second from 4Kids. Censorship in this case did not just limit Yubel from showing off a tit and a peck. It changes how a viewer should see art created by artists with creative decisions. Judai dueling with a sense of urgency and quiet anger while Yubel speaks to him gently to have him accept their love is gone. When the duel ramps up, The visible frustration on Yubel and the righteous fury from Judai towards each other is now reduced to the power of darkness that Judai obtained. There are a mix of emotions in the duel that Judai expresses. From feeling fear and anger to having the willingness to protect his friends, Judai tries to ward off Yubel. Yubel's own frustration turns into anger as she sees that Judai continues to push her away in favor of his friends and duel spirits.
こんな弱い奴のカードを使うなんて、そんなにあいつとの絆が重要なのかい？そんなにあいつが好きなのかい？僕にあんなに注いでくれた愛情も、今じゃあいつのものなんだで。許さない。
Through all of her pain, Yubel's childlike approach to what love is mirrors Judai's approach to dueling. It's a simplistic view on how things should be and a strong belief that it's how it will always be. Love and fun for each view. Here, Yubel sees Judai's actions as hate since he will not accept her, and Judai sees dueling as something that must be done to end Yubel's terror. Neither want this, and neither find happiness in this duel. The choice of music reflects this as it accentuates the emotions with somber music, signatures that reflect the game state as the duel progresses. The 4Kids dub does not. As much as I like me some heavy guitar riffs and headbanging on the way to the office, it does not belong in this duel. Committing to the hate theme and avoiding this dynamic between a young man and, at minimum, a gender-fluid chimera censors whether intentional or not the artistic vision of the writers. Yubel is handicapped by these decisions and makes her a less memorable character in anime, not just Yu-Gi-Oh! Towards the end of the duel, 4Kids does allude to the protection that Yubel had promised to Judai, but does not fully commit to it. In their past lives, Yubel was a young man that was informed of the incoming battle against the Light of Destruction, the main antagonist of Season 2. The inevitable clash would happen as Yubel's friend contained the righteous darkness, the heart of the Supreme King. The child was Judai's previous life. Yubel doesn't hesitate to protect the child and is willing to do what is necessary. Judai sees visions of the past where Yubel endures a hideous transformation, committing themselves to having the strength to protecting him. Both brought to tears after Yubel's transformation. The child swears his love to Yubel alone. Always. Upon remembering his past life, Judai feels sympathy for Yubel's ordeal. The pain she had suffered now all makes sense to him. Over the span of different lifetimes, Yubel fulfilled her promise and dedicated her life, her love, to Judai. Whether fair or not, Yubel needed it back from him, his past life having sworn it to her. Judai chooses to fuse his soul with hers, giving himself to them just as they had given to him. Yubel receiving closure at the end of the season from the one she loves the most doesn't land as hard because it did not flesh out the concept. There is a difference between saving your friends and sacrificing yourself for the one you love. Judai's sacrifice doesn't feel earned as his entire journey in the dark world was to face his own consequences, intended or not, and make decisions as an adult, not as a child. Yubel is the physical representation of this, and we do not get the peak of this writing because of the changes localization had caused. The unfortunate part is that Season 4 of GX was not dubbed due to the company rushing into Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. English-only watchers did not see how the Yubel incident changed Judai. If you did not see Season 4 in Japanese, you miss out on how Yubel was also changed by Judai. Yubel is kinder to him, and is more understanding of his desire to save his friends and bonds with his duel spirits. They support Judai by fusing with Neos to continue the fight against Darkness, the final villain of the series. She is also one of the only spirits to move forward with Judai after his duel with Yugi. Obligatory plug, watch that season recapped in minutes here, no big deal, like and subscribe, and do all that sort of fun stuff. My issues with 4Kids censorship aren't the removal of religious connotations, removal of cleavage or hiding the shape of boobs, adjusting foul language, or adding funny accents to characters. This isn't poo-pooing the fact that it's an English dub. The voice actors did the best with what they had and should be celebrated for it. My issue with censorship and what inspired this specific video was how these changes neuter a character and take any potential lessons away from the audience. Taking away defining aspects of a character to present a simple story creates and adds to the meme of, it's just a show about card games. Yubel is an example of a great character becoming a good character, and that's a shame. Yubel deserves better, and I highly recommend watching Season 3 in Japanese to fully understand what this video may have missed. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to watch the others. Until next time.
君は一人なんかじゃない。この僕がついてる。